Okay, that's good. Now I learned one thing here. I can unmute everybody now. That's the new thing, learning technology. Okay, so today we are stanza 13. So the main thing, we finish the Guru devotion practice, right? And six preliminary practice. And both of those practices are very, very important. The Guru devotion practice is uh, any realization in order to in order to achieve it, everything comes through the Guru devotions. So when your devotion something lap uh, n- not become good, then it may affect to rest all the realization. That's why the devotion practice is very, very important. So when you apply each of these practice in your day-to-day life, like morning, every morning doing the practice, go with the six preliminary practice, right? So last class, which talking about these six preliminary practice, which mainly this is the Lama Sumatra uh, from Indonesia, one of the root teacher of Atisha Dipankara's, right? From his specific kind of the practice, the preliminary practice, which is six preliminary. All of these six preliminary practice main focus is to accumulate merits and to overcome the obstacles. So the any realization in order to receive, in order to experience, two things are very, very important. Need to purify all these obstacles. If obstacle there, how much you try, practice, this obstacle constantly obstruct you to achieve any realization, right? So next thing is if you do not have enough merits, then even you try practice, but you cannot achieve any realization, lack of merits. That is why six preliminary practice is the practice which skillful help us to overcome obstacles and to accumulate merits, right? Among the six preliminary practice, the main which is called seven limb practices, right? Which we talk about. So these are, I remind you again and again because you are not going to forget it. Otherwise, it's forget it, then it's not benefit to you. And these six preliminary should be every morning. Even you have 20 minutes meditation, go with these six preliminary practice, at least 5 minutes spent on there, then 10 minutes meditates like that, right? At least even you have only 20 minutes. So there, uh, among the six preliminary, the seven limb practices are the main practice of cleansing the obstacles and accumulate merits. That is why specific Mahayana tradition, right? The Mahayana tradition specific in order to accumulate merits and overcome obstacle, they apply seven limb practices. Seven limb practices is not only uh, by the Indian masters, the great masters. It's also Buddha himself, applied this practice. One of his texts, very popular, is called the King of Noble Prayers, right? We used to reciting this prayer quite oftenly. So the beginning of that prayer, it's all this, each of these seven limb practices, right? They're talking about. So these are the one help us to cleansing the obstacle and accumulating merit. But each of these seven limb practices, when you do it, you have to do with the right way, right? Prostration or what you call our offerings, confession, rejoicing, requesting, entreating, dedications. So each of them have, visualization, mentally what you need to think. So each of them uh, uh, You need to know how to do that. So if you do not know any practice how to do it, then you cannot do it. You can't, right? Because you do not know how to do it. So that is why we're learning, taking these classes is mainly to learn how to do it. So now, next here, we have to have two things. One, in order to enter the practice, or in order to what you call become serious practitioner, two conditions. One external condition is gurus, right? You need to have reliable, qualified teacher. If the teacher is disqualified, it can affect your practice. So that's why the guru devotion, to find first understanding the teacher's qualification, then second understanding the devotion, which the relationship with our teachers. So all this you learn. Now that's the external condition, very important, right? Internal condition. Internal condition, which is you have to have very strong, what you call uh, encouragement, wants to practice, right? You have to have that. If you do not have enough encourage, wish, then practice whatever you do, it never becomes successful. That is why here saying having rely on your spiritual teacher, then next, how to train the mind, right? Our focus is to training the mind. There's certain type of emotion. We need to get rid of these things. So how to train the mind? According to the Lamrim, it is talking about the what you call uh, there are two sub hiddens. How to encourage, first, how to encourage yourself to take the essence from the precious human life, right? Which means how to encourage, how to stimulate oneself to use this precious human life meaningful, right? So it means here how to encourage yourself to take the essence, right, from your precious human life. That's the first. Then second, when you have encouraged, then second one, how to take the essence of your precious human life, right? How to take the essence, how to take the essence of your precious human life. First one, how to encourage yourself to take the essence from your precious human life, right? There are little differences. So first is to encourage oneself, to stimulate oneself, to how to take this precious human life I have, how to use this life meaningful, right? How to encourage oneself to use this life meaningful first. Second, after you have encouragement, if you have wish to take, wish to use this, then how to use this life to take full advantages of this precious life, right? So the first here, how to encourage yourself to take the essence from your precious human rebirth is, in Tibetan, 대회 때인데 이시 놀래가 된다니까 다래 점식 인 니까 직라 남게 로단다 최대 삼대 직된 자와군스. The stanza 13, this life of leisure is even more precious than wish-granting jewel. That I have found such as existence is only this once. This two line is talking about how to encourage yourself to take this essence from your precious human life, right? This two line. So here, which means this life means right now, which we have, right? This precious human life. So this life of leisure is even more precious than the wish-granting jewels. This precious human life, usually Tibetan called Teljur, means leisure and opportunity, precious life, right? Leisure and opportunity, precious human life. Leisure, which usually, leisure means having time to practice the Dharma. Right? That doesn't mean leisure means I don't have any time. Right? Leisure means you have a time to practice the Dharma. That's called the leisure. So if your life make yourself very, very busy on material, then your karma creates you leisure life, but you make yourself unleisure, right? That's your problem now, right? Some human beings like make yourself, your life is used for money. Another word is used for only this life benefit, right? Then your life become unleisure, unleisure. You don't have time to practice the dharma. That's your mistake. Your past karma done very good to karma ripen as in a leisure opportunity life. You make your leisure unleisure, right? You make your leisure precious life is unprecious life. That's made by yourself. So here, that's why this life of leisure. And usually, when you go to the what do you call Lamrim practice, or even Nagarjuna's, uh, all those texts they're talking about the leisure, which general is called free from eight non-leisures life, right? Free from eight non-leisures. So the free from eight non-leisure, which are four, which are non-human life, like for instance, Salrem beings, animals, hungry ghosts, right? If you're born one of these realms, of course, then that life, you cannot practice the Dharma. You cannot able to practice the Dharma. And then here is called the God realms. So God realms, which they have variety types of the God realms, specific formless realms. When you're born into the formless realms, then of course, you cannot learn anything in that realms, right? Formless realms, even the God realms, formless realms. Even the God realms, which some God realms very much joy, kind of the uh, mundane pleasures. They live with the whole mundane pleasures. So they never think about the Dharma at all, right? So these kind of life, the four, Selram, Holy Ghost, animal, and God realms, when you're born on these lives, then you cannot practice the Dharma. Four unleashers, which are non-human life. Then even human life, even born into human, then four of them is called birth in the place where the Buddha's word do not prevails, right? You're born into the human life, but Buddha's teachings, the words do not prevail, those regions. Birth in uncultured border regions, which means one is called like a dark era. Dark era, which means the era which never been Buddha's never been on those eras. And these era time, even you born into human, you cannot do any practice, right? Buddha never born. So in this planet, Buddha born in these planets, right? His teaching are still here right now. That's why, you know, uh, the place which the Buddha's been there. And even you born into this Earth, this planet, but born in an uncultured border regions, which means there are certain area which do not have dharma at all. Usually they're called what do you call, there are four assemblies or something, um, which are the never been in like a place which do not have monastics, like novice and full audience, and novice nuns and full audience nuns. So never been on those places. They don't have this place which is called uncultured regions, right? These they do not have teachings in there. So that's unfortunate. Even you're born in the earth, but those regions, if you're born, there's no dharma. Birth as a human as a faculties are faulty faculties. Even you born into human, the region which they have a dharma, but somehow, unfortunately, you born with the faulty faculties, right? Either brain damage, either something you cannot able to think well, you cannot able to analyze, you cannot able to listen, hearing, so all kind of things. So these are also unfortunate to be born with the wrong views. Even you born into the place which is dharmas available, very smart, but you have a wrong view, which means there's no rebirth, there's no karma. So this dharma don't need it here. So the wrong view, right? So those are the place when you born it, then unfortunate life. Even born. So that's why leisure means you are free from these eight non-leisures life, right? So that's called the leisure here, the life of leisures. And opportunity, the precious, then wish-granting jewels. Opportunity, there are 10 opportunities, right? The five aspects of the opportunity pertain to oneself. First, five aspects of the opportunity to pertain to the others. But I don't need to go too detailed these things, right? It's kind of the quite easy if you look it into the text. These are. So point is leisure, which means unfavorable condition, right? Non-leisure, which is unfavorable conditions. So you are free from unfavorable conditions of the dharma. Opportunity is the favorable conditions. So you possessing with a favorable condition, the place which has dharma, you engage with the gurus, you have a faith, all kind of things. There are 10 opportunities they have. So that is why here saying the life of leisure is even more precious than wish granting jewels. Wish granting jewel in the which means in the past, the Buddha's time, they're talking about there's special jewels. Whatever you ask, that will gives you. Means mainly the materials. So wish granting jewel can give you in this life benefit, right? Only this life. But precious human life have more than that. Not only this life, you can benefit for your next life, ultimate benefit, ultimate happiness. It can gives you ultimate happiness. This life has that. That is why, you know, it's more than wish granting jewels. So the some of you may, if you have diamonds, you keeping these diamonds, right? Oh, this very precious you holding, maybe you put it into what you call this safety something inside there, lock it, try to holding that. How much? It just give you dollars. It's only for this life benefit, right? But the life which you have can give you more than that, right? In your next life, human rebirths. Then you're higher liberation, self-liberation. Then you go higher, enlightenment, Buddhahood. This life you right now you have the life has power to brings all of this benefit. That is why it's called wish granting jewels. It's more precious than wish granting jewels. That I have found such as existence is only these ones. So this kind of precious human life is very difficult to find, right? When you go to the specific Lamrim tradition, this they're talking about uh, understanding the precious human life, understanding how important of your life, then understanding how difficult it's find it again. There are three different meditation. First, recognize your precious human life, which is identify your precious human life, which is you are very fortunate because you are free from these eight non-leisures life, right? You are very fortunate because you possessing with 10 opportunities, five from yourself, five from others. understanding this precious human life, right? Then second, not only that, this precious human life is very important. Means it can, if you use this worthwhile, full your life, this life has potential to give you ultimate happiness, not only temporary, even ultimate happiness, right? Ultimate, our goal, which is liberation and enlightenment. Everything's you can achieve through this life. You look past Buddha Shakyamuni himself, right? Having this precious human life, through this human life, he achieved Buddhahood, right? In Tibetan masters like Milarepa and Lama Tsongkhapa and all those great masters, same. Through this, exactly the same, this precious human life, they achieved all of this realization, enlightenment, Buddhahood. That is why the life which they achieve, exactly the same life which we have. So we need to understand how important the life which you have, right? Another word is, I used to think simple is the brain you have, this human intelligence has so much power, right? To overcome all your ignorance, right? Your destructive emotions, all your suffering can eliminate by this human intelligence. And you have this. That's how important the life which you have, how important it is. Then the next, it's very difficult to find again, right? When you go to the Lamrim, they use the example, the difficult because of the example they use, uh, say that the terms of causes and the terms of example, the terms of nature. They're talking about the three different ways to how it's difficult to find this kind of life, this precious human life. Not talking about general, of course, general human life is also very difficult, right? Among the human life, these precious, leisure and opportunities, right? That kind of life is more difficult, more difficult. That's how we should meditate. First, you do six preliminary practice with your Guru Yoga, right? 100 deities of Toshita prayer, right? Which very simple Guru Yoga. Then after Guru dissolves into, sit on your crown, then meditate. If you meditate on this precious life, just think about the life which you have, how opportunity and free from each of these non-leisures. Just look, born into dark even, how difficult, right? Think about each these animals' life. So you are how much opportunity, how lucky you are. Then how important this life you have right now. Then future more difficult to find, right? Through this meditation, then what you need to do, the purpose of this meditation is to encourage yourself. How long I'm going to remain here? I will going to use this life meaningful. Means I will take full advantages of this precious human life, right? Full advantages, what did that mean? Mean this life, through this life, you can achieve temporary and long-lasting benefit, right? Temporary benefit and long-lasting benefits. First main thing is, as a Dharma practitioners, our goal, there are different types of the goal which we have. First, our goal is at least to born into higher rebirths, right? That's the first thing. As Buddhist practitioners, we're always planning our life. It's not only to this life, we're looking for our next life planning. If you're only thinking about this life, you don't need dharma then. Dharma is not important. As soon as when you becoming Buddhist, when you're becoming practitioners, that means your aim is next life. You're looking something which your material cannot give you, which these mundane things cannot help you, right? That kind of goal, which is first simple thing is at least my next life should born into precious life, fire rebirths. That's first thing. That goal, that kind of wish, because when you're understanding the suffering of three low realms, unfortunate realms, right? If we really fall down, for instance, just simple, I give you example. If you're born into the fish in the oceans, right? Just that life from birth to death, they always remain with the fear. Somebody will going to eat me, right? Somebody will going to kill me. In the ocean, when you look these creatures, the little things come, they run away to hiding something else. They always try to put some hidden place to run down, hide there. That fears remain. And their survivor is to kill somebody, right? They have to eat something. So in that life, the whole healing, the karma is accumulating, killing karma. So it's getting worse and worse, right? It's one when they fall down, it's very difficult to come back again because it's the life which, always non-virtuous karmas. That's why eons of life are difficult to engage with the practice. So understanding that, that's why at least my plan is next life, higher rebirths. That's the one thing. Then second is just born into higher rebirth alone, it's not enough, right? I'm a human being. I still have lots of sufferings, right? Much better than animals and others, but still lots of sufferings. So for all this suffering, because as long as if I circle in samsara, it's always be sufferings. So not only high rebirth, this suffering concern is all samsara sufferings. That's why they're thinking I have to achieve liberation, freedom of samsara, right? That's the another goal. Then next one saying, not only myself only free from samsara, also to benefit to entire sentient beings. To do that, I need to achieve Buddhahood. So there are three goals, actually. Next, rebirths, at least higher rebirths. Then the next one is liberation, right? Freedom of samsara. Then the highest view or goal is enlightenment. These three. So all of these three achievement through this precious human life. This life right now you have has full potential, full power to achieve each of them, right? That is why it is more precious than all the wish granting jewels. So appreciate these things you have. That's why, but it is here the next saying, existence is only this once, only once. Fortunately, your past karma. But next, who knows? If you fall down, very hard to come back, right? Through understanding on these three meditation, identify precious human life, understanding very important of this life, understanding it's difficult to find again, right? Through this meditation, then what you're going to do, you cultivate, encourage, stimulate oneself in a wish to take full advantages of this life, right? That's how it's called. How to encourage yourself to take the essence from your precious human rebirth, right? This is because through this meditation. So the purpose of these meditation, when you do these meditation, it really helps you to feel yourself encouraging, stimulating, wish to take full advantages of this life. If the really you feeling arises, your meditation is working very well. It's something working. If there's nothing coming, anything like that, there's something wrong. Something wrong, which means either you may just visualization, you may really experience it, not feeling. Sometimes meditator, we make, we think I do very good. Maybe you're just visualizing. Visualizing is the thoughts, right? You're just thinking, but not you feeling. So first we have to think, we have to visualize, but don't remain only that level, right? You have to go deeper level. What you think, your heart have to feel it, experience. Then your heart is really changed. Wow, I'm so lucky. Definitely, I'm going to use this life meaningful. Take full advantages of this life. Buddha Shakyamuni take that full advantages. Our gurus, right? All these lineage masters, they take that. I will going to do it again. Otherwise, when I'm going to lose this, then I will fail. In the next life, who knows? Will achieve this life again or not. So that's why these two stanzas, two line. So it's just simple line. Now you recite this, you know this morning when you do the practice with your Guru Yoga, 6 preliminary practice, then during the recitation, the mantra, you meditate these 3 different stages of the practice. Through that, finally, when you really feel wish to take full advantages of this precious human life, another word is, I'm not going to waste my life to material only. I'm really going to use this meaningful, at least for my next life to achieve higher rebirth, for to achieve liberations, for to achieve Buddhahood. So that kind of, you when your feeling comes, when you really wish that, and hold it. Just remain on that feeling. Then recite the mantra. If you do Lama Tsongkhapa practice, if you do Pema Sambhava, whatever guru's practice you do, then recite that mantras, right? Your guru with the Dharmakaya appear as a Pema Sambhava's form, appear as a Nagarjuna's form, appear as a Lama Tsongkhapa forms. When you do the 100 deities of Toshita, appear as a Lama Tsongkhapa form. And seeing Lama Tsongkhapa and my direct teacher, which I receive my teachings, all this dharma, they all are same kind of the what you call same entity, right? Different aspect they show according to my karma. So then reciting these mantra, receiving their realization of precious human life, then form of nectar and dissolves into you, then you're visualizing you that wish you have, wish to take full advantages, right? For your precious life, that wish become a stronger, and become very stable. That's how you meditate, visualize, experience, all kind of things you have to do to spontaneously, right? Then the next, so hard to find yet, like a flash of lightning, it is easy to vanish. Contemplating this situation is what called vital, vital, vital to vital means something important, right? Vital to realize that all mundane pursuits. So now Nieka jikla na ke lok tanta to the summit jikden jawakuns. That next two line. So next two line is now after when you have what you call the encourage, when you have really wish, right? Like you desperately wants to do this and wants to take full advantages, right? Then how should I take it? Now here next called how to take the essence of your precious human life, right? How to take it. That's why 3 different stages of the Lamrim, the actual Lamrim practice is starting now. 3 different stages of the Lamrim, right? Here, one is called the training the mind in the path. shared by a person of lower capacity, right? Second, training the mind in the path shared by a person of middling capacity. Then third one, training the mind in the path of person of highest capacity, right? It's called three scopes. Small, share with a small scope, share by a person of small scope, share by a person of medium scope, and then great scopes, right? There are three different types of the meditation. Sorry, three different types of the stages, the practice we do. So, so there are three. You can say the path shared by the person of small person, the path shared by the medium person, the actual part of the great person, right? You can say that way. So which what? The first, the small, right? Training the mind in the path shared by a person of lower capacity, small scope practice, right? It's share, they're called the share. Share, which means this practice is not only for the lower capacities practitioner, it's not only for the lower person, even the person of the middling capacity, even the person of highest capacity have to practice this, right? So that's why I call it share. This practice is share with the small person of the small capacity, middling capacity, great capacity. That's why it's called training the mind in the path shared by persons of lower capacity. So, which here so hard to find yet, like a flash of lightning, it is easy to vanish. So, nyeka, jikla, nakelotantas. So hard to find that we go in the past uh, other existence is once, only this once is this sentence go together with that, right? This precious human life, its existence is only this once. So that's why so very hard to find, very hard to find again. You know, even you even born into human is very, very difficult, right? So precious human life, when you go to the Nagarjuna, the text, what do you call the specific, they call the Shiveti, letter something something. In Tibetan called Shiveti. But when you go in that text, they're talking about, I think, 16 different type of the courses, the 10, which are the 10 virtuous actions, right? Upon the 10 virtuous actions, there are six, I think six of them added there. So there are 16 different type of the courses to born into precious life. So when you read it in the Nagarjuna's the text, if you know, you can write it on the text name in English. Anybody who knows the Tibetan, we call Shiveti. It's letter or something, something. Yes, the letters to the friends. Yeah, letters to the friends. So I think Nagarjuna sent this letter to the one of the king, right? So that's text. So that's why it's very hard to find, yet like a flash of lightning. So that's the first practice started. You know, training the mind in the path shared by the person of lower capacity. First practice, what they're doing here, it's saying, like a flash of the lightning. Flash of the lightning, which means this precious human life, it's impermanence. Like when they're lightning, during the summertime, it's just second, right? That lightning. So our life is like that. The when we have thunderstorm, right? These lightings, it's just for a few seconds, then it disappears. So this precious life is like that. It's impermanence. It's called, and it's mainly talk about the death meditation, right? This is talking about the death meditation. So First, the person, when you have like a very strong, what you call the desire, very strong desire to use this precious human life meaningful, right? Then what they're going to do, they're first doing that meditation. The reason is why we cannot able to use our life for the dharma, why we not dedicate our life for the dharma, right? When you wake up morning to night, you say most of the time our life we use for mundane things, right? You wake morning. Why we using for that? Why we not able to use for the dharma? Because of attachments. We are so much attached to mundane pleasures, right? Materials. So mainly there are three things, right? Tibetan called to gu tamsum in Tibetan use. Usually one is just food is the one we attach to the food. We attach to the possessions, right? Possessions, clothes, and all kinds of things possess all kind of things. Then we attach to our fame and reputations, right? So that's kind of attachments. Donning us, these attachments, what they're going to do, it block us to practice the dharma. This attachment using our human intelligence, our talents, our knowledge, everything for money, food, shelter, name, possession, right? Your reputation, power, they use for that. So your precious life you have just using for these mundane uh, pleasure by these attachments, right? Attached to mundane pleasures. That's why the first practice is that meditation. Therefore, here when this text saying, yet like a flash of lightning, it is easy to vanish. The light which you have is very easy to vanish, means very easy to end it, right? It's like a lightning, it's just second, right? It can change. So it's impermanence. So they're called that meditation. So as a practitioner, first when you feel I really need to dharma, that doesn't mean go to the temple, recite the mantra or mani padme or something. Not only that, if you're really serious practitioner, what they need to do, why I'm not able to use this life for the dharma? Why Buddha, when he age of 29, right? Then he become a practitioner. He encounter with the dharma. He choose the spiritual life. What that means he give up his attachment to his royal, life, right? So who hold us there? Our attachments. As long as attachment is there, mantra, how much you recite it, doesn't matter, right? Your attachment will draw you there, will take you back to your mundane life. Mundane life, who take it there, samsara, is your attachments. That's why when you first, encounter to the dharma, what you need to do, you need to antidote to these attachments, right? We need to against. That's why the death meditation. Buddha teach the death meditation. So here, this is one simple line. Lots of practice in there, right? That's how it's called condensed, the Lamrim condense, right? Condense all the practice, put it into very short stanzas there. Condense these things. So here it's called uh, yet like a flash of lightning, it is easy to vanish. Contemplating this situation, it's vital to realizing that all mundane pursuits that comes later. So now death meditation, what they're going to do, the simple thing is there are three things. When you meditate on death, death is certain, means definitely I'm going to die, right? That's you have to think. That means definitely I will going to separate with all of these things I attach my mundane life, right? My money, my family, my power, my reputation, my position, whatever things I have, I attach. Definitely, I will going to separate with this, right? That is certain. Then, second, the time of death is uncertain. When will you separate with this? Uncertain. Any times, no guarantee. Next year, next month, next week, next day, right? Next hour. Nobody knows. So, time of death is uncertain. Then the third, at the time of death, nobody can help except karma, right? At the time of death, my family, my money, my power, none of these can help. Only the dharma is the only can help. So these three meditation, right? So when you meditate, usually it's called uh, what you call three roots, 9 reasons, and 3 decisions. That's the death meditation. When you do 3 roots, death is certain. When you say death is certain, just think that sometimes you may not feel I'm going to die, right? You have to use all of these meditations are called analytical meditation, contemplate, right? You have to contemplate. You're saying contemplation that the lot of death will definitely comes, right? Definitely come and cannot be avoided through any condition. First reason, right? Lot of death will definitely come, cannot be avoided through any conditions. Second, contemplation that our lifespan is constantly diminishing and cannot be extended. Our lifespan is getting closer, closer, closer to the death. You cannot become, your life is become longer, 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 right? Each day is getting shorter, shorter, shorter. Then the third is contemplating that even while you are alive, there's little time to practice the dharma. Even you are alive, how much you spend your time for your practice? Very little times, right? You didn't use your life meaningful. Most of the time you use life for just mundane things. So that's how through these three meditation from deep of your heart, when you think definitely you're going to die one day, right? That is certain. You have certain type of fear, right? You feel a little bit concern, fear. When you feel fear, not just live with that fear, you use that fear to determine yourself. What determination first? Practice the dharma, right? Which means I will going to use my life for dharma, not just only for material. That's the first practice, right? Root, that is certain, is the first root. 3 reasons. That's how you contemplate. Then when you feel fear, your mind is really feel one day I'm going to die. When you feel fear, use that fear to encourage yourself. This life I have right now is going to use for dharma. Definitely, right? Determine yourself using your life for dharma. That's the first. Second, the time of death is uncertain, right? Sometimes you say, yes, I'm going to practice dharma, but not today, not tomorrow, after I'm retired. You always have something, to delay that practice. That's another attachment. So to get rid of this attachment, second is the time of death is uncertain. When will I'm going to separate? Nobody knows, right? I can plan for 20, 30, 50 years, but even I do not have full guarantee. Even tomorrow, I can live or not. No guarantee, right? That's why time of death is uncertain. 3 reasons. Contemplation that the lifespan of being is this world is uncertain, right? Lifespan in being in this world. Many young people are dying, many healthy people are dying. They are, right? You can see that. So Same. It doesn't matter. I'm young, I'm healthy. That doesn't mean that. Many young people dying, right? That's how the first reason. Second, contemplation that the causes of deaths are many, while the conditions supporting lives are few. The causes of death is so many, right? The food can causes for death. You drive, there's many accidents, there are natural disasters, there's so many causes condition for death, right? Second reason. Third, contemplating that the time of death is uncertain owing to the fragile nature of the body, because my body is very fragile. If the little thing's going wrong, it's finished, right? When you block your heart or something, then finish. You breathing out when you inhale. At the moment, you cannot able to inhale. When you exhale, right? When you cannot able to inhale, finish. That is there. So our body is very, very fragile. So through these three meditation, your mind it's not just thinking, right? Thinking these three reasons, and from your heart, you really, wow, the time of my death is uncertain. I have to be prepared right now, right? This precious human I have. Now I'm going to lose. Before this lose, I have to use properly. So I have to practice dharma right now. The second decision, right? Before first, I'm practice the dharma means I'm going to use this life for dharma. Second, these three meditation, you determine I'm going to use this life only for dharma, means mainly for the dharma. Materials is secondary. First, mainly for the dharma, that decision, right? So if you cannot able to decide that, your renunciation is too far. You cannot get there, right? Even you cannot deal with these little problems, mundane things, right? Then the third meditation is at the time of death, nobody can help me, right? Except dharma. Here, oh, friends and family do not help you, right? Your possessions will not going to help you. Even this life, the body you have since birth to till death, even your body doesn't benefit. It doesn't help you, right? At the time of death. Only the dharma. Dharma is the only, right? As long as when you're dying with the dharma, virtuous mind, love, compassion like that, you die with a very peaceful, right? Too much attached, too much anger, very difficult. It hurts you. So, friends, family, your possession, none of this can help when the time of death. So, through that, what your decision? Your decision is, I'm. Oh, maybe. I mix it. First decision, I practice the dharma, right? Second decision, oh yeah, second decision is I practice dharma right now. Sorry, that's the second decision, not delay. Practice, I'm going to use my life, for dharma right now, right? Third decision is the second mentioned earlier. I'm going to use my body, my life is only for dharma, mainly for dharma. Because these material things, none of this can help me at the time of death. So three, this meditation, then same, those six preliminary practice, guru, visualizing, and then meditate each of this. You know, Death is certain through the three reasons. When you feel fear, through that you determine yourself, I'm going to use this life for dharma, right? I'm practicing the dharma. Then the time of death is uncertain. You meditate for contemplate these three reasons. When you feel fear, you determine, I'm going to practice dharma right now. I'm going to use this life for dharma right now, not for wait till retirement, right? Then third, at the time of death, none of these material things will help me. Therefore, right, I'm going to use my life only for dharma, means mainly for dharma alone. So these three determination. So when you're able to determine each of this, right? When you're able to do that, then you're achieving realization of each of these practice, achieving realization, which means that when you determination with contemplate again, first, second, third, eventually without contemplated, just spontaneously, naturally, when you're able to determine it, your life is only for dharma, and right now I'm going to use my life for dharma right now, and only for dharma. That type of determination constantly, when you feel it, you achieve that realization, right? That meditation's realization, right? That's the go step by step. So then next, contemplating this situation is vital to realize that all mundane pursuits bimba chawa shin to tojo ni nyinse kundo nyingbo lemba kwe nejo nyeja nyamne tetar tajo chechan dishi jamse los are like the empty grain husk floating in the winds, and that we must extract the essence of human existence. I, a yogi, have practiced in this manner. You who aspire for liberation too should do likewise. So, understanding the death, right? Death meditation, like a nature of the death, then see the sun contemplating this situation, it's vital to realize that all mundane pursuits, all these mundane things you're doing, right? We're doing every day just for surviving, doing all kinds of mundane things, mundane pursuits are like an empty grain husk floating in the winds. That you should understand. Empty grain husk, when you're floating on the winds, is nothing, nothing benefit. As a farmers in the ancient time, when they take a grains, right, and then in the farm, they what you call what you call they put it into the container, dry it, then they what you call they're floating that husk, grain husk. So when they're floating in the wind, all the husks go out, the grains are staying there. You have essence there, right? That's how you floating these things. Just empty grain husk when you're floating, there's nothing benefit. Just wasting the time, right? Whatever tire you are trying, it's nothing, wasting that. It's exactly the mundane things we're doing, morning wake up to till death, till go to bed. We're doing so much things, right? These things are mundane pleasure. It's just for temporary things. Temporary things. It's nothing benefit to our next higher rebirth. It's nothing benefit to achieve liberation, right? It's instead of that, it may creating more attachment, more negative karmas, more greeds, more arrogance. It's constantly mundane things when we're doing, it's just like that. It's the wasting. It's like empty grains, right? Empty grains husk. You're floating in the winds. It's like that. There's nothing benefit to anything. That's how we should think about all this mundane what we're doing, right? Meaningless things which we do is exactly same like an empty grain husk floating in the winds. That realizing this. Through that and that we must extract the essence of human existence. So we must wish to take this, extract the essence of human existence, the essence, then what you call the nectars, the humans, right? That you should use it, right? Use these things to get rid of all these obstacles, make your life so much meaningful, right? Otherwise, you're wasting your time, you're wasting all your. That is why constantly, day or night, right? Day or night, you wish, you generating that wish to take full advantages, to use this life meaningful. Meaningful, which I mentioned earlier. One, at least for my next rebirth, born into higher rebirth, right? Then next is to achieve the liberation. Then point is to achieve enlightenment. So you always to have that wish to take that essence of human existence, right? The meaningful, make your life meaningful means take full advantages. Wish to take full advantages. Otherwise, you spend your whole life importing is just material things. It is called empty grain husk float, floating in the winds. It's like that. That's how we done from beginning less to till today. We've been circled in samsara, right? Eons and eons of life. Sometimes we've been in like a born as a king, you know, control all the regions. Sometimes we're born as an animal. So kind of life. We've been there. We've done so many things in the past. Nothing any benefit. Still in circle in samsara, right? Still nothing anything there. So that's how if this life, if you do that way, just for mundane things you do it, this is just meaningless, like empty grain husk floating in the winds. It's exactly same like that. That's why through understanding on that, right, you must feel wish to take full advantages, use your precious human life, meaningful, at least to my next life, born higher rebirths, and to achieve liberation and enlightenment. So I'm going to use my life for sake of that. So that's how Lama Tsongkhapa says, I, a yogi, have practiced in this manner. So he did this practice in this manner. You who aspire for liberation too should do this way, same, right? That's the stanza 14. Then the 15. Sine nyendor mike ding me shin, di chi cho kuncho sumto nye, di chi chamro shindo tenpa tang, di lapcha nyamba meba cha. Tenya kana lente lek samne, langdo tsuishin tupla ra le so, nye choro nye chan nyamne titar ki, tato che chan tishin chang tse los. Stanza 15, there is no certainty that after death we may not be born in the low realms. The protection from such terror lies in the three jewels alone. So we must make firm the practice of going for refuge and ensure that its precepts are never undermined. This is turn depend on contemplating well the white and black karma and their effects, and on perfect observance of the ethical norms. I, a yogi, have practiced in this manner. You who aspire a liberation too should do likewise. So then next here, there is no certainty that after death we may not be born in lower realms. So now this is the practice which started the what you call small scope, right? The path shared by the small person, right? Training the mind in the path shared by a person of lower capacity. Their first practice is that meditation, right? That's finished. Their second practice realization is suffering of three lower realms, understanding the suffering of lower realms. The second, that's what's called there is no certainty that after death we may not be born in lower realms. What kind of determination you have, right? After your death, do you have full confidence you will not going to born into three lower realms? Of course not, right? Most of time we accumulate so much non-virtuous karmas. When you look at, even lifetime, virtues and non-virtues, non-virtues are more there. So the causes of suffering of lower rim is your non-virtuous actions, right? So when you accumulate non-virtuous action, that means causes is there, result must come there, right? So we do not have. So you should imagine if tonight you die, do you have 100% confidence next life you will be born into higher rebirth. Of course not, right? We don't have that. That's how you should think about. So, say there is no certainty that, after death, we may not be born into lower realms. The protection from such terror lies in the three jewels alone. So it is means, so now who can save us? First, the training the mind of lower capacity, like person of lower capacity, their only concern is first, at least the suffering of three lowers. You when you go to the Lamrim Chemo, they have each of these realms, hell realm suffering, hungry ghost suffering, animal suffering, like all these sufferings. When you think about, when you read it, meditate on that, it's really, create us some kind of so much worry. You know, oh, this is really, really scary sufferings there. Maybe hell realm, hungry ghosts we don't see, right? Animals, we can see these beings, how much they suffer. Most of the animals, the majority animals are under the oceans. And look at those animals, their life. It's just whole suffering and getting worse and worse. It's not getting better and better, it's getting worse and worse. So think about the suffering. Then when we meditate on this thing, we put, like we call, put your feet into their shoes, right? That's how you meditate. It's not, oh, this poor animal, this fish is suffering. This, not only that way. You put your feet into their shoes. You imagine yourself born in that kind of fish, born in that kind of creature. Now is sitting inside the oceans. Now, how much challenge they have, how much worry, how much pain they have to deal with. That's how you meditating, right? So this type of meditation is first same 3 6 preliminary practice, guru yoga. Then yourself slowly you put your life into imagine, if I born in hell realm, if I born in hungry ghosts, if I born in each of these animals. Now image how much I will suffer. Right? That's how you're meditating. So therefore, and then you look at it right now, really, I do not have certainty that after death, I may not born into three lower realms. I don't have that confidence, right? So therefore, now that fear can able to save me from this kind of suffering. My money cannot save me, right? My power, my family, my positions, this material, none of this can save me from suffering of three lords. Who is called protection from such terror lies in the three precious jewels, Buddha Dharma Sangha, right? So we relying on Buddha Dharma Sangha. It's at least the fear of suffering of three lords that started. Some Buddhists, unfortunately, they take refuge to the Buddha Dhamma Sangha for money, for business. Maybe Buddha is laughing. He might be really laugh when they do this way, right? It's, I want to be rich. So I take refuge. The Buddha helps me to make me rich, to help me to find a good wife, a good husband, or bless me to have good children. These kind of things. So they really do not know. It's what's who put you to the suffering? Your attachments. That's how. So that attachments create the sufferings. So these three low realms suffering is created by your negative karmas, non-virtuous karmas. Non-virtuous karma creates by your destructive emotions, right? So now to get rid of these suffering, you need to get rid of this karma's destructive emotion. It is absolutely your responsibility. You have to clean it, right? But yourself alone cannot able to do. That's why you need help somebody. So therefore, we are relying on three precious jewels. So how that helps you? Actual helper is the dharma. Dharma is your real like a medicine, actual saver, dharma. Dharma, which is your realizations. bodhicitta, wisdom of emptiness, right? Renunciation. Real dharma, if you go, real dharma is according to the Four Noble truth path, and the truth cessation, right? The last two truths, truth path and truth cessation. This is the real dharma, right? But renunciation, compassion, wisdom of impermanence, wisdom of understanding the death, all those realizations are part of the dharma. So these are the dharma who can save you. For instance, your realization of death will save you from your attachments, right, to this mundane life, right? That's why you may not that much committed negative karmas. That's how it's saved. So actual saver is dharma. So that's why you rely on dharma as like a medicine. But that dharma, how they save, when you generate, when you achieve each of these realization, that's how you save you, right? When you generate renunciation, it's how to reduce your attachment in mundane life. When you generate bodhicitta, it helps to reduce your selfish mind, right? When you generate wisdom of emptiness, it helps to reduce your mind of self-grasping. That's how. So dharma helps means when you generate these dharma, that's how they save you. But in order to generate the dharma, first, you need to know how to do it, right? You need to learn everything. That's why we rely on Buddhas as a teacher, right? We take refuge means we relying on Buddhas as a teacher. Without teacher, I cannot learn. I cannot understand that. How can I put it in practice? That's why you rely on Buddha. Now you have Buddha, you learn it, you understand. Just learn, understand alone doesn't mean you can experience the realization. In order to experience, you have to meditate, right? You have to constantly contemplate. To do that, you need support, good supporters, reliable friends. That's called Sangha, right? Real Sangha, real Sangha is called Arya beings, supreme beings. Arya being, supreme being, what that means? That means when we achieve to the Buddhahood, there are five paths. We have to go gradually, step by step. First, accumulation path. Second, preparation path. Third, seeing path. Fourth, meditation path. Fifth, no more learning paths, right? You have to go step by step, each of that path. Then finally, Buddha, right? When we recite the mantra, gate, gate, paragate, parasamgate, buddhi soha, right? That Heart Sutra mantra. Gate first, accumulation path. Gate means gone, right? Then gate second, preparation path. Paragate third, seeing path. Parasamgate fourth, meditation path. Bodhi soha, which is no more learning path, right? That's how Buddha taught us. So supreme being, Arya beings, which means at least that practitioner who reached the third path, seeing paths, right? The person who reached the seeing path, those people, those practitioners, which we call Arya beings, supreme beings, they are the real Sangha. Sangha, where we take refuge, these are the one. But the image of the Sangha, which is today in the world, the monks and nuns, right? Spiritual communities, the audience, are the represent of the Sanghas, right? They influence us dharma. They inspire us dharma, right? That's how we show our same devotion, faith, and respect to the sanghas, monks and nuns, same as the Arya beings because they represent, right, the Arya beings, supreme beings. That's why real sangha is the supreme being. So we rely on supreme being as a dharma supporter, dharma companions. They are like our role models, right? They are our environment who can influence us into the Dharma. So therefore, one individual that died, the person which is like a patient's heavy disease, right? Suffering. So in overcome that disease suffering, you need to rely on first doctor to recognize what kind of medicine, what kind of treatment, what kind of disease. That's like a Buddha, right? Second, who will cure your disease? Medicine, right? You have to take medicine, then cure. That is like a karma, is like a medicine. But you are very fragile, so you need to get this medicine, you need nurse, right? The sisters, nurse. These are like a sangha who can support you, give you the right time of the pills, medicine in the right time, right pills. All you need supports. So through doctors, medicines, and nurses, through help by these three things, helps you to cure your disease. Similarly, in order to overcome all these sufferings and causes of suffering, mainly here, this part, suffering of three lower realms, you are seeking to the Buddha, Dharma, Buddha like a doctor, Dharma is like a medicine, and Sangha is like a nurse. Through the three precious jewels, you can overcome all this suffering of three lower realms, right? That's why you rely on three precious jewels. So when you rely on the jewels, mainly two causes. First, you really concern the suffering of three lower realms, right? Specific in the small scope practitioner, suffering of three lower, you really fear because you meditate, or you really concern that fear, right? That concern you have. Then you're searching who can able to help me through Buddha, Dharma, Sangha. Three precious jewels are the one who can able to save me. That kind of belief to the three precious jewels. Out of these two causes, fear and belief, finally, if you're able to show your trust, your faith of convince to the three precious jewels, that's called I take refuge to the Buddha Dharma Sangha, right? When you do that, you become a real Buddhist, right? Feel that you are not real Buddhist, according to Atisha Dibamkara, right? When Atisha says Buddhists are non-Buddhists, how can determine Buddhist, non-Buddhist? Through taking refuge to the three precious jewels, right? That's how. So when you really do that, then you become a Buddhist. So that's how here, in protection from such terror lies in the three jewels alone. Now, to do that as a Buddhist, first we need to know who these three are, right? How can they help save me? So, in order to know Buddha, Dharma, Sangha, in order to know Buddha, first you need to know Dharma. So, according to what you call the one of the sutra, Partita Samupatra Sutra, right? The Sutra of Dependent Origination, which is saying, which means whoever sees dependent originations, see the Dharma. Means whoever understanding the dependent origination, emptiness, will understand the real Dharma. Whoever see Dharma will see Buddha. So whoever understands the Dharma, then they will understand what's meant by Buddha. Otherwise, many Buddhists, when we talk about the Buddha, for them, historical Buddha. Buddha Shakyamuni as a royal prince, first, what you call, um, now forget his name again. So the doesn't matter. Prince then become a renunciate age of 29, then meditate after 6 years, then he become Buddha. That kind of historical majority. Actually, Buddha, which Buddhas, which means it's a mental quality. It's not about historical things. Mental quality. There are thousands of Buddhas, which we're talking about, right? So when you're understanding the dharma, then you know the being who have full of dharma, who achieve all of this realization, that person which called the Buddha, right? So which mainly who is free from all the ignorance, all the what you call defilements, all the wrong perceptions, who are full of knowledge, upon their full of compassion, skill, everything, that quality, whoever owns, whoever has that, that's called Buddha, right? So this quality we need to know. These are the dharma. So understanding dharma will understand Buddha, but we don't have time to go each of them. But at least, serious, you first understand these three refuge objects. Who is Buddha? Who is Dharma? Who is Sangha? Then you know how they helps. Many people, we have very different minded. Buddha bless us. Then our problem will fix it. That's the majority of people thinking, right? We go to Buddha statue there, we bow, we pray, oh, Buddha bless and fix our problem. That's how they think. Actually, when you go to according to the sutra, Buddha himself, he says, "Tumna digpa chi mi tushins." In Latin beings, Buddhas cannot wash your negative karmas by water, holy waters. Droye dunge chaki mi seyans. They cannot take our suffering by their hand. They cannot transform their realization to us. What they can do, they can teach us the dharma, truth. And you should learn, and through that, you should liberate by yourself, right? That's how it is supposed to be. So that's why here saying the protection from such terror lies in the three jewels alone. So we must make firm the practice of going for refuge. That's why we put you. If you want to free from suffering of three lower realms, then you need to rely on three refuge, mainly the karma realizations, because suffering of three lower rim is caused by your non-virtuous karmas, right? Non-virtuous karma, which generally talking about 10 non-virtues. Three from body, which are killing, stealing, sexual misconduct, right? Four from your speech, using harsh word, telling lie, gossip, slander. Three from your mind, harmfulness, covetousness, wrong view, right? These are the 10 non-virtues karma, which are the causes of suffering of three lower realms, right? Lower rim suffering. So that is why, in order to overcome this, you need to stop these non-virtues. In order to stop, you need to generate the realization, the dharma. In order to generate the realization dharma, you need to learn dharma from somebody else, Buddha, right? Rely on. Then when you need to support somebody, right? As the ordinary people, we have a Sangha communities. They support your practice. Through relying on these things, finally, you can able to stop killing, stealing, sexual misconduct, using harsh word telling, those non-virtuous action. It's not easy to stop, right? These stops through this help by these three things. That's called you rely on these three refuge objects, right? Firmly, then you can able to stop. We must make firm the practice of going for refuge and ensure that these precepts are never undermined. When we take refuge, there are the precepts, right? Precepts, refuge precept. Never undermine, never ignore. Sometimes people, they like to take refuge as a ceremony. We go to ceremony is good. It gives you blessing, right? We call unbroken lineage master's blessing. You're receiving that. Very good. But ceremony alone is not enough. When you take refuge, general, taking refuge doesn't mean you have to have ceremony. When I mentioned earlier, when you're able to show your convince the faith to the three precious jewels out of these two courses mentioned earlier, you already take refuge. You already become a Buddhist. But ceremony upon there is something bonus. It's the bonus, right? It's called extra blessings, lineage blessings, more beneficial. But when we take refuge, there are precepts. You know, the precept, there are five, there are three different precepts, five different precepts. All this, you need to learn that, right? So each a precept you need to understand. One of the main precept among all of this, main precept is don't harm to other beings. That's the main precept. When you take refuge, at least not harm to other beings, any beings, is the main precepts. So, here saying precepts are never undermined. This is turn depend on contemplating well the white and black karma and their effect and on perfect observance on the ethical norms, which means after take refuge, then you should understand the law of karma. That's the first, important philosophy. When we talk about the Buddhist view, the Buddhist correct view, what are there? The mundane correct view, super mundane correct view. We have two views. Mundane correct view is the law of karma, a view which is called the law of karma. Virtuous karma, happiness. Non-virtuous karmas, suffering, right? Happiness and sufferings are the results of the virtuous and non-virtuous karmas. The relationship between, karma and the results, that's the view called understanding of that called mundane right view. So when you take refuge, first at least understanding the law of karma. So that's why here this thing, depend on contemplating on the virtuous and non-virtuous karma and their effect, result, suffering, and happiness, and on perfect observance of the ethical norm. So when you understanding the karma, then you will follow your life more ethics life means more what called uh, moral ethics, which means non-virtuous. For instance, if I lie, bad karma, right? Suffering of three lower realms, which we are very concerned. You have so much fear of suffering of lower realms. That's why if I lie, I committed causes of fall down into the lower realms. I lie, I make $100 for lying these things, but the result of that, the eons of life of suffering in my lower realms, right? How dangerous they are. Just for $100, right? Put your life, eons of life of suffering in lower realms, right? That's how we even I can get this money for $100 if just like that, but I'm not going to do that because this results much worse than that. $100 of happiness is just for a few hours, few minutes, right? But the suffering is eons of life of the sufferings. That is why, your understanding on this law of karma make your life very moral ethics, honest, right? Never harming to any beings. At least moral means the life which is very honest, humble, never harm to any beings. That kind of life, how can do it? Through understanding of the karma, right? Results, the karma and result law of karma. So that's taking refuge, the Buddha Dharma Sangha. When you take real refuge, you understanding suffering of low realms is come from my karma, right? That's why I rely on the precious jewel to overcome this. Therefore, result of that, I never committed any of these non-virtuous karmas, right? So avoiding non-virtuous karma make your life is more moral, ethical life, right? More honest life, good life, which means life which creates your next life higher rebirths, right? That's why moral life. So why a yogi have practiced in this manner, you who aspire for liberation too should do likewise. So you also do these things. Lama Tsongkhapa himself practice on these things. You also do that way. So this is maybe today we stop here. Stanza 16 finish. So this practice today is just we are not finished even the uh, training the what you call the lower scope, right? Training the mind in the path shared by the person of lower capacity, right? Even this is lower capacity practice. We are still not yet Bodhisattva or Bodhicitta, not yet there, right? This is the first beginners. So at least today, what we finish, lower capacity, first, death meditation, right? Second, suffering of three low realms. Third, taking refuge practice. Fourth, law of karma, right? These four practice. So these four things study and contemplate, think more, and meditate. So morning when you do your practice with Guru Yoga practice, with six preliminary practice, then you can go each of these practice. 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, getting better, better, better. Then eventually, slowly, slowly, you achieving each of this realization, right? The dharma, small dharma, first death meditation realization, small dharma, right? Then it's getting more stronger, higher, high. Each time when you dharma is growing, your negative emotion, your negative actions are changing, reducing, right? That is why first thing is at least benefiting you to born into higher, higher rebirths. Then slowly, slowly, it's how to achieving self-liberation, freedom of samsara. Then you becoming when you Mahayana great scope, when you get there, it's how to go to the Buddhahood, right? That's how we need to progress. Go step by step. It's not jump something there, bodhicitta or something, go there, meditate for a few, months or something, and think, oh, bodhicitta, maybe, you know, without having renunciation, even sometimes without having refuge properly. And even this person's a real Buddhist or non-Buddhist doubt, right? But practicing bodhicitta, but yourself really become a Buddhist or non still doubt sometimes. It may come that way. If you wrong, or if there is a order, so if you not follow with the order, you know, correctly, and that's how people make mistake. You spend so much time, then you ended up with a not result. The follow correctly order where these masters been, when you correct go there, then next realization, helps you. First realization helps to next to help next, getting better and better. That's how we should practice that way. Okay, we're going to stop. Oh, it's already 8:40. Oh. Maybe one or two questions. So if some you are busy, you can leave. It's okay. But if you have time, I keep one or two questions maybe. If you have questions, or I have to leave first. Uh, Permission, give permission them. Okay, so anybody have any questions? Go ahead.
So, Geshe-la, the precepts were the Mahayana precepts, and the ethical norms were the law of karma versus the precepts?
So, you're talking about the refuge precept or what?
Yes.
Refuge?
I'm asking in the small scope, what
Yes,
precepts are they referring to here? Are they referring to the
right
Mahayana?
now here main thing is the refuge precept. When you take refuge, then there were precepts, right? It's called the general precept and specific precepts. Uh, Actually, this month, yeah, the May, I have this refuge teaching there, right? My foundation series is the refuge. So this all the precepts is there. So this called the specific, general. I think there are 5 or 6 precepts, and they have a prescriptive precept. They have a prescriptive precepts. There are many of these uh, precepts which we have there. So I don't have time to go each of them. It's take at least 15-20 minutes to finish each of them. But if you take a foundation series, you have this, and in your notes, if you look at, yeah, it's in the notes there. Any questions? Okay, so then we go to the closing prayer. Dedication prayer, okay. Through these merits, may sentient beings attain the rank of all-seeing, subdue the four of falls, and be delivered from samsara oceans, perturbed by the waves of aging, sickness, and death. Samsara and nirvana lack even an atom of true existence, while cause and effect and dependent arisings are infallible. I seek your blessing to discern the import of Nagarjuna's thought that these two are complementary and not contradictory. May the precious and sublime Bodhicitta not yet born be born, and that which has been born not decline, but increase forever. In the snowy mountain paradise, you are the source of good and happiness, powerful Tenzin Gyatso Genrezi. May you stay until samsara ends. Okay. Thank you.